Warning: the following podcast contains irreverent humor, exceptionally nerdy opinions, potential cursing, and plenty of love for the prequels. If any of the preceding offends you, please turn off this podcast immediately, and may the Force be with you.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder!
You can't use that word! Only we can use that word!
Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
You're tuned in to the Nerf Herder Council, an official supporter of Star Wars Celebration Orlando, happening this April 13th through the 16th at the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, Florida, featuring your hosts, JT. I mean, they killed his mother. What's he supposed to do? Send him a postcard? I wish you wouldn't have done that. AJ.
I'm on Facebook, man! Hey, Mom, check me out!
Steve.
Sir, you have a parasol on your face. Please do not tell me what I should and should not like, sir. Thank you.
It really was. On this episode of the Nerf Herder Council, we discuss some of our favorite Star Wars content. Episode 8, The Last Jedi Fan Theories. Was Rey really hatched from an egg? And AJ reads one that explains why Rey might be a Palpatine.
Damn it, dude, that was one time!
This is the Nerf Herder Council.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. Back with me are AJ and Steve. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. And first off, I'd like to apologize to anybody that I may have offended with the last episode that we did.
Well, first off, stop lying. You are not sorry about offending anybody.
You know, it's funny because I was listening back to it a couple days ago, and I went to make a point and kind of stopped in the middle, so it sounded really bad. I basically said, in fact, this might be verbatim, but I said, to anybody listening who is a fan of this stuff, I apologize. Like I don't want to call you out and whatever. And I said to you guys, I said, thankfully you guys know me that, if I was actually face to face with somebody, I would actually say they're full of shit right to them. So that's not but what I meant to finish it with was, yeah, right. Yeah. So I meant to say, yeah, I would say you're full of crap and I would debate, but I would have a respectful conversation. We'd talk it out. Everything's cool. We'd talk about everything and have a discussion. But because I stopped halfway through, it just sounded like, well, I'm telling people they're full of crap right here. And if I was in their face, I'd be like, you're full of crap. Like just hollering at people, basically. It's like, no.
It's the old age coming out, man. You're going to be that old man in the meme with the hat that's just pointing his finger. The back in my day guy.
All right. Flippity flu.
Back in my day, there was only 3 Star Wars movies.
And that's the way we liked it. Yeah, but I mean, we made a lot of really good points. And I think one thing that really struck me in listening back to it was when I was leaving after recording that episode, I looked at AJ and I said, I don't think I've ever disagreed with you more. And as I listened back to that episode, I still really disagree with you more. And I think some of the points you made they just didn't work. This was probably the most thought-provoking episode for me because I kept thinking of other stuff as I was listening to it. Like, oh, I could have said this, or, I could have talked about this. And
I would have crushed those points too.
You didn't crush them. It's just, the whole, I mean, the George Lucas thing about like, well, what he did would be fan fiction if he was writing stuff now that Disney owns it. No, it wouldn't. It just wouldn't. I mean, it's. I should have written this stuff down. It would have been a whole nother episode. But
well, as soon as we get my friend the Legends EU honk on the show, we'll talk about what does and doesn't qualify as canon and when and how and all that, because I've been immersing myself in Aftermath, Empire's End.
Oh.
And I'm into part 5, so I think I'm in the home stretch. I've only got about 10 chapters left to go, but there are 50 in the book, so there's still plenty left to unfold, I guess.
Right.
But it ties everything together from so many sources that don't even matter movie wise, but it all connects. And now I'm sitting here trying to think, like, does any of the new canon really matter outside the movies? And if the movies tie into the stuff that doesn't matter, how much do the movies themselves matter? Because they're not written by George Lucas. We're kind of like right back into all that whole like what is and what isn't fanfic thing again.
Well, we have to accept it because there isn't going to be anything else from George Lucas. So I think that's, but I mean, if he was still writing the stuff and then they're putting out books, I would feel the same way. If somebody was making movies that came out alongside of George Lucas's movies, I'd be like, that's not it. Sorry. George didn't write it.
Damn it. We're stepping right back into this, but I got to counter that. What if George Lucas was writing the movies, but because it's Disney led and they say that everything is now canon, what if the books coming out alongside George's movies were official instead of being tromped on?
Well, then they would be part of the story group and they would at least tell all the same story. It's like people getting mad about the EU.
Right, but then would you care about them then knowing that George is still helming the movies and the books don't contradict the movies?
No, because I don't care about the books right now.
Okay.
I don't it's hard for me to explain on that one because I want to get into the books, but it's like I'm probably going to have to come into them later when they start putting those characters into movies, but there's just so much stuff coming out in novels that I'm just like, eh.
And it was easy to not care about the books before because you knew that they had no impact on the movies.
Yeah.
Now that they do, even if George Lucas was making the movies, you'd still have to pay some kind of attention or at least have something worth knowing, going into the book, knowing there's something worth paying attention to in it.
Yeah. I mean, Steve made a really good point.
That the guy had a parasol on his face.
I'm looking at your computer screen, Steve, and that is the exact article that I have pulled up on. That's one of the ones I pulled up to talk about tonight.
Great.
So there you go.
How perfect.
That's great. But no, Steve, you made a really good point about that on the last episode, and I just completely lost my train of thought because I was thinking about that dumb fan theory thing we're looking at. But no, I mean, well, no, I remember what I was going to say. Steve, you had mentioned that with, people that complain about George Lucas completely discrediting the EU novels when he was still in charge of Star Wars and saying, well, these people wrote these stories, and he basically said, yeah, that doesn't count, and did his own thing. I mean, you make a good point. There's so many of those books. Like, what are you going to do? And there were so many books that told alternate storylines.
All right.
So which one are you going to pick? I mean,
right.
So,
Thank God we'd be in episode 47 or something with our movies by now.
Right.
If we were just following everything.
Right.
But speaking of that, did you hear that apparently Disney is wiping out the episode thing on the movies? Like they haven't really announced it, but they've just kind of secretly stopped putting it in to see if people would notice.
They did it with Celebration. So
yeah,
I mean, it used to be like Celebration 6, Celebration 7, and now it's not. And
they did it with WrestleMania. I don't know what the problem is with numbers. Numbers are fun, people.
It's the Roman numerals.
Yeah,
they're getting to a point where
it gets to the point with Roman numerals that you're just confusing people.
Yeah, right. No, I did read that, and I don't know how I feel about that.
What is it this year? Super Bowl? Whatever.
Yeah. Super Bowl execution. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't like that. I think it's
almost like to tie it into local for us, how Progressive Field is always Jacob's Field to the rest of us.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where they can weed out the episode part of it, and we're still going to go, yeah, you remember in episode 8 when we were it's going to be there regardless of what they do. So it's kind
of the old school diehard fans are I think are still going to say that. That's actually funny you mentioned that, because
we're never going to talk about that. Oh, you remember in A New Hope? Like, no, we always say but at the end of episode 4 is
yeah. Well, that's like that fan made trailer that was all over the place yesterday and the day before. And I actually had a bunch of Facebook friends post it, go, oh my God, this is so cool. This movie's going to be great. And they actually thought it was a real thing. And I had to go in there and go, no, it's fan made. And a few people are like, well, how do you know that? I said, well, first of all,
because it looks.
Yeah. I mean, the voice for Snoke is different in spots. I said, but the biggest giveaway is the fact that at the end it has 8 in Roman numerals, and Disney's not doing that. So that in and of itself tells you that it's different. But it's just, I don't know. I feel bad because it's cool that people do that stuff. It's interesting, but I feel bad for the people that get suckered in or like, oh my God, it's the trailer. Like, no, you'll know if it's the trailer because the whole world will explode, not just a few people on Facebook. It'll be kind of obvious. So, but I actually wanted to talk about that Steve, so good on break. We're on the same page tonight. You got the same article. You brought up a conversation topic that I wanted to talk about. It's like, we have the Force or something.
Yeah.
How about that?
Tie-in.
Get it? It's a Star Wars podcast.
How about that? All right. So tonight, what we wanted to do is kind of revisit something that we had done previously a while ago. And AJ's trying to blow his nose.
Don't we have a mute?
No, we have a bathroom with a door you can close.
Oh, God. If that was it, I would be getting up like 4,500 times a podcast. My sinuses are horrid.
This is how I know you guys don't run the show. I'm sitting here looking at AJ, and he's off the mic doing something. I look over at Steve like, okay, we got to talk, and you're dicking around with something else. I'm like, oh, all right, I'm just going to talk myself and try and do like a 60-second lead in.
Stretch.
Oh my gosh!
I learned that one in podcasting school. You pinch the end, stretch it out.
Nice.
Hey, it's your fault for not knowing how to turn off my microphone.
Hey,
dude, I kill for some mute buttons on these things.
It's the only thing it doesn't have. It doesn't have. But no, we wanted to kind of revisit something that we did. Oh God, this was what, like the second, third, fourth episode, something we ever did.
I think it was our second episode, actually.
Yeah, but we like to look up fan theories to try and kind of see what kind of ideas are out there.
Because if there's one thing in the Star Wars universe that there's no shortage of, it's fan theories.
See, we really enjoy seeing them because it's fun to see what parts of them actually become part of the movie, like what people got right, but also we like to look at it because there's so much stupid crap out there that's just so outlandish. And to me, it goes beyond clickbait. It's not just, they're not just doing this to get clicks, because a lot of the stuff is embedded in an article. So it's not like the main title of the article is,
if it's just clickbait, we'd have it on our website.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we'd have a link on theirs. One of the two.
So, and going forward, when we find these things, we actually have a bumper for it now. So whenever we find a stupid fan theory, Steve, hit it. And now it's time for the council to dissect another stupid fan theory.
With the very proper music in the background.
Yes. What instrument was that?
A completely beat up, I don't know, a kazoo? I don't know what the hell that was.
It was awful. I know that.
It was great.
Well, before we get into a fan theory, I did have to bring up one thing, because I looked up some articles, and just to get us started, to show how ridiculous people can be, I found an article that's titled "Star Wars is the most overrated franchise ever. It's simple math. Most Star Wars sucks." Okay, can have your own opinion. It's fine, whatever. I will just read you one paragraph, which just goes to prove that this guy probably has a parasol tattooed to his face. It is, if this thing would stop, it keeps going to some junk site. Okay, here we go. The reality,
keeps trying to load your Plenty of Fish page.
Yeah, right. With those stupid emails I keep getting for some reason. The reality here is simply mathematical. Out of 6 Star Wars films, 2 qualify as good. They're referencing the original saga. That leaves 4 poor to terrible movies, an overwhelming majority of the series. If you picked a Star Wars film out of a hat, odds are it would be garbage. It's hard to think of a franchise with the pop culture weight of Star Wars that's so generally miss rather than hit. Here it comes. Let's put it this way. The Fast and the Furious franchise has a better ratio of good entries to bad entries, a way better ratio. No, it doesn't.
Is this a legitimate article? Like
Yeah.
they're trying to express a real opinion?
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't really make any points. It's not that long of an article. It's basically saying that Empire Strikes Back is awesome. One of the other ones, which doesn't really explain if it's episode 4 or 6, is okay, and the rest is crap. And it doesn't really go. It just basically says like, yeah, there's more bad movies, but
You're basing your opinion off of a comparison to the Fast and Furious franchise. You are instantly discredited.
Exactly. So that's why I wanted to start with that one, because when I was looking up articles and I saw this like most overrated franchise ever. Okay.
What's the guy's name?
Devin Faraci.
Devin? there was a man in the People Against George Lucas thing that has a parasol tattooed on his face that has more credibility than you do.
That's it.
I would take my Star Wars franchising information from Umbrella Face before I would you, sir.
That's going to be our new thing. Anytime someone just comes up with something that unbelievably stupid, we stamp them with a parasol on their cheek. Sorry, you get the parasol.
God, can we get those made before the celebration?
Just get a whole bunch of temporary tattoos.
Yeah, and we'll pass them out.
Somebody just says something really dumb to us, like, can you please put this on your face?
Just bring a wet sponge and we'll just stick them to people's faces.
That's why we'll actually get kicked out of celebration. We'll be smashing wet sponges on people's faces and hitting them with tattoos. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so we talked some fan theories about a bunch of things before. I mean, there was stuff about Episode 7, Rogue One, things like that. So we found articles about mostly The Last Jedi. And Steve, you've got this one up on your screen. And this is 5 interesting theories. The 5 most outlandish fan theories relating to The Last Jedi. I think we can agree that this first one is really stupid. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Ready for this, AJ? The first one is Rey is Luke Skywalker's clone daughter.
How could she be a clone and a daughter?
I guess if you want to be technical about it, they said that Boba Fett was Jango's son, but he's actually like an unaltered clone. But they said he's an unaltered clone, but everyone, he calls him dad. So technically you could do that. It's canon to have done that before.
But would they really dive into the cloning thing again?
Yes.
So Rey is Luke, but female.
Apparently so.
They just forgot a chromosome in the cloning process.
She doesn't look anything like Luke except for being a white chick.
Well, don't forget, there's also the theory that she's a Kenobi.
She's got a nose, eyes. I mean, what else do you need?
Exactly. I mean, don't forget there's that theory that she's a Kenobi because she has a British accent. So I mean, all you need is an accent. Well, it says, this one comes courtesy of renowned Star Wars conspiracy theorist Mike Zero, who this week has mostly been watching bloodthirsty new X-Men outing Logan and wondering what might happen if Lucasfilm borrowed its plot. The idea here is that Daisy Ridley's Rey simply must be connected in some way to Luke Skywalker, but cannot be his natural daughter because Leia would have recognized the proto-Jedi when they met on Takodana in The Force Awakens.
Wait a minute. Did you just throw in like a spoiler for Logan?
No, it's right in here.
That's what I mean. Like, you just totally read a spoiler of Logan.
Who gives a damn?
Well,
let me finish this.
I wanted to see it at some point.
Pick your nose over there. Let me finish.
Honestly, you could get the plot of Logan from
everyone knows
commercials.
Everyone knows it's Logan and a little girl. He's like a protector.
Yeah, I didn't know the little girl was a clone of him.
I didn't know that. It doesn't say that for sure, so you don't know that. The confused look on Luke's face at the end of Abrams' movie also makes more sense if Rey is a clone, somebody he perhaps recognizes as a literal kindred spirit via his force powers, yet does not fully recognize. Plausibility, 3 out of 10. Cloning is already firmly established in the Star Wars canon. The Stormtroopers began in the prequels as members of the Galactic Republic's clone army. But Rey looks a lot more like Carrie Fisher's Leia, or her mother, Padme Amidala, than Luke. Surely a female clone of Luke would have blonde hair. If this one pans out, the Force Awakens casting director deserves to be fed to the Rancor. So
I think the write-up about the theory is better than the theory itself.
Who would come up with that? A clone? That's what I don't understand. It's
people have way too much time on their hands.
Yeah,
that smells stinkerwith.
Yeah,
yeah. That's not it at all. That's just not.
3 out of 10 is 2.5 points higher than it should be.
That just seems like such a reach to me.
That's what I was saying. That's why I was like, you really think they would go back to the whole cloning aspect of the series? Like, that's so far gone at this point that
the main aspect of that, the cloning thing, they wouldn't go back to it because they're trying to avoid all the prequel stuff, and that harkens back to the prequels.
And worse than that, it harkens back to Legends EU. Like, there were so many times that they used the cloning. Like, there were 1 or 2 Palpatine clones after the Emperor was destroyed. You know, anytime they just needed like a new big bad guy, like, wait a minute. Oh, there's another Palpatine clone.
Ugh. Yeah, that's just too easy. They're not gonna write something like that. Just basically say she's a female Luke Skywalker to keep it going, like so we can keep the Skywalker character going. Like she's Luke, but a girl. It's just almost low hanging fruit. Ish.
And then that makes you think weird too, because so many people got the hots for Rey, and if it's basically female Luke, that's really going to make you. It's going to make you feel kind of weird when you're leaving the theater after episode 8.
Like in the movies when dudes are hitting on some hot chick and they find out she's got junk. It's like a dude in drag.
The entire scene from Ace Ventura just went through my head. The guys scraping their tongue and taking the shower and stuff.
Right? Yeah, that's ugh.
Well, you've seen the whole Rey is a Palpatine descendant thing, right?
That one I have not seen.
No, wait a minute. Is that part of the list?
No.
Okay.
This one is so brief, it doesn't even need to be looked up. It's just this simple. Here's the analysis. Her first saber move in her fight with Kylo Ren is a stabbing motion. And the only person we've ever seen start a lightsaber battle with that particular move is Palpatine. Therefore, she's got to be related to him, right? Oh, but there's more.
Get ready, Steve.
She got angry in her fight with Kylo, and that's a pull to the dark side, just like the Emperor.
Yeah, I think.
Wow, we were talking about stretching a couple minutes ago. That's a different kind of stretching right there.
It's like I understand people are so into it that they want to see if they can figure stuff out, but that's reading into it way too much.
Way too much.
That's so.
Honest to God, the first saber move was a stab, and like not in a million years would that even be a thing that would pop into my head and go, let's analyze this.
Yeah.
And that was her first move of the lightsaber. How about she was panicked and never used the damn thing before? It was blindly poking the thing out, trying to save her own ass. How about that?
I have a Star Wars fan theory. Sometimes common sense actually occurs in Star Wars. Like you just said, maybe she just panicked. Was like, I poked at him with it. You know, seriously, if she's going to be like a Palpatine descendant, the first thing she does is not going to be just poke with a lightsaber. She's gonna get really mad and destroy something, or like just do something totally evil by accident. Go, holy crud! And you're like, wow, that's kind of out of character. So, all right, moving down the other fan theories. 3 of the other fan theories in this are pretty all right. Technically, you could kind of make arguments for them, so we won't mention those. But number 5 is a great one, and apparently, if I'm reading this right, it actually comes from canon, which I don't know how, but I'll have to research it. But Rey hatched from an egg.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Rey hatched from an egg. So which came first, the Rey or the...
Oh, jeez.
If you think some of these theories are far-fetched, try reading some of Marvel's more far-out Star Wars comics. The publisher's Poe Dameron title features a reclusive culture known as the Kraysh, who worship a giant blue glowing egg that they believe will one day crack to reveal the, presumably fully formed, savior of the galaxy. Who might that be? Well, there's only one Star Wars character currently being set up as Luke Skywalker's heroic heir, and that's Daisy Ridley's Rey. What if that egg had already burst open, discovering the Jakku lowlife as its powerful Force-sensitive occupant? Or what if the egg popped open and it was the gobbledygooker? Anybody who's a wrestling fan will get that reference. Anybody else like, what the hell is a gobbledygooker? But anyway, yeah, that's what.
What are we, 20 minutes into this show? My head hurts so bad right now.
Rey is an intergalactic gobbledygooker. Okay. Plausibility. 1 out of 10. This one seems to have been spun off yet another unconfirmed theory, the deeply silly one about Rey being a reincarnation of Anakin Skywalker, which we discussed and ripped apart. As we all know, Luke's not-so-dear old dad was spawned by the Force himself, Jesus style, rather than having a traditional human pops. But we think Shmi Skywalker would have mentioned it in The Phantom Menace had her son emerged, monkey magic style, from a giant egg.
Monkey magic style.
That's what it says. Monkey magic, capitalized, 2 capital M's.
So a Force tree popped out a giant glowing egg.
Yeah, apparently so.
And then the egg hatched Rey.
Right. See, we think Shmi Skywalker would have mentioned it.
I saw this in an episode of Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Oh boy.
Well, you remember the egg? The egg splits open and there's the woman, stands up out of it, and then her hair trails off and goes into a meat grinder and
oh yeah. Oh God. See, now we're getting outlandish.
That was Rey.
See, this is what I'm talking about. We think Shmi Skywalker would have mentioned it, The Phantom Menace, had her son emerged from a giant egg. Yeah, or not. Like, not everything is mentioned. People just want them to throw every possible thing into these movies. Like, I don't know, man. That might not have been something they would have brought up. So I don't know, but yeah, a giant egg. Could you imagine that? That means she's like not even human. She's just a human-like,
right?
Like, okay, so she looks like a human, but she's not. Why? Because she popped out of an egg. Is she avian or something? Like a flightless bird with no feathers? Therein is the tie into her being an intergalactic gobbledygooker.
Well, I found the original Rey as a Palpatine article if you want to hear that one.
Oh, God.
It's from the Huffington Post, so you know it's true.
By the way, is that like a serious website or is it a semi-serious website, or is it? Because I see crap on there, but then I see some legit stuff. I can't tell.
It's just not vetted. It was supposed to be an internet newspaper, but they pretty much let anyone post anything on there. It's
like Bleacher Report.
Yeah, it's as true as Wikipedia, basically.
Oh, geez. All right, well, yeah, let's hear that one.
Okay, this one's fabulous here. Okay, so it says, it sounds like some Jar Jar is a Sith level crazy when you first hear it, but there's some pretty compelling evidence that is folded into that movie, meaning The Force Awakens. Beyond the obvious, she must come from a Force-strong family, and her origin is important business that can be used to support most other fan theories. Here's what I got. Her fighting style. So here we go. This is the most compelling to me. From the very first viewing of episode 7 in the theater, I noticed that Rey's first move upon force grabbing that lightsaber is to jab at Kylo with a horizontal stabby motion. Great vocabulary, right?
Stabby
motion, yeah. Both hands on the hilt with a big forward shoulder thrust. This is the exact move. That's italicized, exact. So you know they're really stressing that point. Exact move that Palpatine.
That's okay. So anyway, so you were saying, so that's the exact move that the Emperor Palpatine
uses to take the Jedi off guard when Mace Windu comes to arrest him in Revenge of the Sith.
Jedi. Oh my God. So anyway, so that's the exact move that Palpatine uses. Okay.
Rey repeats the move 2 more times over the course of her short fight with Kylo. The Emperor uses it multiple times in both of his major fight scenes. It's a fighting style that does not fit into any of the traditional forms. That's underlined, so apparently there's a hyperlink to Jedi fighting forms. And indicates that the character is powerful and talented enough to forge their... Well, it should be her own style instead of their own style, but grammar aside. Yeah, so apparently because she stabs forward with her lightsaber in a thrusting motion, that means she's, one, a Palpatine, and also is inventing her own style instead of just not knowing what the hell to do with a lightsaber.
Wow, okay.
More importantly, it's a move that is not used by any other saber wielder in any of the other movies. The only 2 characters to use it are Palpatine and Rey, and both use it multiple times. Now, here's the fun part. Now we come to her name.
Oh, no.
You know these are always great. Ahsoka.
Oh.
Names in Star Wars movies have always had significance. Darth Vader is the obvious Dark Father. Luke is a biblical name that derives from the Latin for light. Han Solo is a loner. Yoda comes from the Hebrew for wisdom. Salacious Crumb, Darth Sidious, and Tyrannus. BB-8. The list goes on, and those names are not an accident. Rey could be interpreted a couple ways. Perhaps she is a ray of the light, the new hope for the Jedi to return to the balance of the Force. But Rey is also Spanish for king, derived from the Latin rex. Maybe she's related to Captain Rex.
Yeah, we just debunked that theory.
This doesn't necessarily
Wait, that means she's a clone, which ties into the other theory.
And clones grow up in pods, which are very similar to eggs.
And pod, egg, and Rey all have only 3 letters.
Pod Racer, Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, Boonta Eve Classic. Where's Kit Fisto?
Kit Fisto is Snoke.
Kitster is Snoke.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway,
this is like that scene in Black Dynamite when they're stringing everything together in the
right
in the restaurant.
Oh my God.
So this doesn't necessarily imply she is good or evil, light or dark, but it is the kind of thing where if we were to find out in episode 8 or 9 that she is a Palpatine, we'll look back and go, duh, the name fits, just like we did with Darth Vader.
No. No. Who's gonna look at her name and go, yeah, it fits with the Emperor?
Now here's something interesting. This is not interesting in terms of the theory, but it's interesting in terms of their interpretation of the saga. It follows established Star Wars tropes, and here's the topic sentence. At its core, the Star Wars story has always been Palpatine versus Skywalker. Kinda.
But they were on the same side for 5 of the 6 movies. Most of the first 6.
Anakin was fighting for the light side in the first 3 until he turned, and then.
But he wasn't fighting against Palpatine.
Well, Palpatine was evil and manipulating things from the shadows.
Yeah, but he wasn't fighting against him. They're saying it's Palpatine versus Skywalker. No, it wasn't. Not until the very end of Return of the Jedi.
Well, Palpatine was a Sith Lord the whole way through, and Skywalker grew up being a Jedi trying to eradicate the Sith. So he was indirectly actually fighting Palpatine. And then his son took over in 4, 5, and 6.
That one I would buy. I mean, the Luke versus the Emperor thing, but Vader? I mean, no. I mean, he and Anakin were allies in the prequels, and they were allies in episode 4 or 5 and most of 6. Anyway, I mean, you make a good point, but I would dispute it.
Yeah, well, anyway, they're making the argument that if Rey is a Palpatine, since Kylo Ren is a Skywalker-ish, thanks to Leia, it continues the trope.
Well, and one of the other theories that's in here that was in one of the articles I just read from was that Rey and Kylo Ren are going to switch sides. Like Kylo's going to turn out to be the good guy and Rey's going to turn to the dark side. So they're going to kind of flip-flop. I have to admit, I didn't read that one because I think that would actually be really, really freaking cool.
It would be interesting, yeah.
I could see it, and it would make me like Rey a lot more, too.
All right. You already love Rey.
I gravitate towards the bad guys.
Right.
So. Like, honestly, Rey is probably the first character that is quote-unquote good guy. That I love all of them, obviously, but, like, I've always been a Vader guy, always been a bad guy thing. Rey's the first one I've grabbed a hold of and been a fan of that's not the bad guy in the movie. So
yeah,
that would work for me. Go ahead. Go for the Sith turn. Go for the heel flip, man.
That would be kind of cool if they did like a double turn, though. It would be really interesting because you never see that. So that'd be fun. I'd be into that.
That's like when Hulk Hogan went and turned heel.
Right. But who was the bad guy that then turned into the good guy?
Macho Man.
No, he was a good guy at that time.
Yeah, he came over. He did the heel turn later on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think anybody really benefited from that move.
So this would be a very original. I would like that. That'd be cool. I would dig it.
This thing goes all the way into saying that her accent supports the theory. Of course, because, again, accents, they cover it. And they also broke down her theme music and said that it is sonically similar. I don't know how these actually go, but it's do mi do sol, something like that. And the Emperor's theme is do mi do so. So
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you just ordered something from the Chinese place up the street from me, right?
Did you just order the number 7? See, I know that we're huge nerds because we have our own Star Wars show, but we don't have that much time on our hands.
No.
I mean, you got to sit there and research that kind of thing. It's not like it's just there for the taking. When you watch the movies, like, oh my God, that the Emperor's theme is kind of like race. You don't really catch that unless you're really looking for it or you go looking for it. So what the heck?
Well, chances are better than not. If you have that much time on your hands, you have no clue what a vagina is. So
do me had to pay with my credit card to get laid. So is there anything else in there worthy, or should we?
No, can we just move on, please?
Yes. So the next one that I have, Supreme Leader Snoke is many people come back from the grave or from hiding. So the fan theories about who's behind the guise of General Snoke could fill up a list of its own. One of the most prevalent theories suggests Snoke is actually one pissed off Mace Windu in disguise. Some speculate Windu was never actually killed by Anakin Skywalker, and while he was portrayed by Samuel L. Jackson, a black man, and Snoke is a translucent-skinned being, some fans believe the lightning from Anakin's lightsaber not only disfigured his face, but lightened and thinned his skin as well.
Bleached the black right out of him.
Yeah, right? Additionally, there are
the lightsaber gave him vitiligo.
Basically. Oh my God. Wouldn't it be so he'd be like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
He basically he got disfigured and then his skin lightened. You think they could put that in like a special edition of episode 3, like when the Emperor like force lightnings him out the window and it's like he's falling down and you just hear him in the distance go, woo! Like do the Michael Jackson on his way down. Okay.
Well, Michael Jackson was supposed to be a hologram on his final tour after his death, so maybe that's why Snoke appears as a hologram.
See, he's like,
there's a hologram of Snoke in the new movie. Come on, Kylo, get on the train. Come ride the train with me.
Man, we are not right tonight. Additionally, there are those out there who believe that Finn is actually the estranged son of Supreme Leader Snoke. If you watch the film closely, you'll also see that Kylo Ren actually uses one of Windu's defining lightsaber tactics.
Oh,
there we go with that again.
Did he poke him with the lightsaber?
Yeah, right. Windu's signature move was a backspin and slice move, meaning he may have taught it to Ren. Watch the video below. I don't think I'll be clicking on that. One of the other theories out there suggests Snoke is actually Darth Vader returned from the Abyss. Who knows? Many cite the similarities between Snoke and Vader's head and cheek injuries. Though Vader died in the first film trilogy and was seen as a Force ghost, we are talking science fiction here, where the boundaries of reason are thrown out the window.
I think Snoke is the stormtrooper that smacked his head on the door.
I still like that theory.
That damage is consistent.
Because the dent that would have
popped into
his head. It's one pissed off stormtrooper.
You notice how high
trooper.
It does make sense. You notice how high the ceilings are on Starkiller Base?
That's true. He made it so that no one else could bang their head like he did.
Yeah. JT keeps bitching about, how this episode 8 could rip off something. How about when they rip off Wizard of Oz and they pull back a stupid curtain and there's a friggin' stormtrooper standing there with a dent in his forehead. No, nothing to see here.
Ignore the trooper behind the curtain. I am Snoke, the great and powerful.
Fire, smoke.
Oh my God. Oh man. See, these stupid fan theories have led us to our own stupid fan theories.
Well, I can tank them all right now. Reddit has it figured out.
Oh boy.
Darth Maul is Snoke.
So what about the Zabrak markings?
Dude, come on. You think they didn't think of that?
Intergalactic intergalactic concealer?
It's supposed. Now, I forget, AJ. You'd know better.
Video editing. You could take all that out in the hologram,
Yeah,
right?
it's a hologram. It's like,
Yeah.
No,
it's a Snapchat filter.
is the Zabrak markings, is that like from birth or are those tattoos? I always forget.
I think they're tattoos.
Okay.
Pretty sure. I mean, they're hardcore like that. They tattoo their infants.
Works for me. They are intergalactic slaves, basically. So
Yeah, this is a good one. See, here okay, now I've scanned this a little bit, and you tell me if I missed some dialogue in some of the movies, because they're quoting things that I don't remember ever being said.
okay.
All right. Upon closer inspection of Episode 7, Snoke reveals his true self through a quote from his former identity as Darth Maul. Snoke tells Kylo that he will become one with the Force in The Force Awakens. When?
I don't remember that.
Yeah. This
I
particular
wonder if that's
phrase,
from the novelization.
Oh, if it is, I don't remember it being. I mean, I only had the audiobook, but it's not abridged, so I would have heard it. It says this particular phrase happens to be eerily similar to the words Darth Maul spoke to Qui-Gon Jinn before stabbing him through the chest, courtesy of his light shaft.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Maul said, "You will be one with the Force, Jedi." He
Where
didn't
are they-
say a damn thing.
Where are they getting this from?
I think actually this Snoke theory proves that the fan poster had a stroke.
Right? They've got to be getting this crap from the novelization. They have to be. They've got to be pulling this stuff from books, because the only thing that Maul said in Episode 1 was, "At last we should reveal ourselves to the Jedi," or whatever like that. When he's out on the balcony with Palpatine, he said that like 2 sentences or whatever. He never said anything else.
Well, the poster says, quite frankly, he's surprised more people haven't picked up on this yet. Maybe there's a reason.
Because it doesn't exist.
Exactly. In a recent interview, Andy Serkis told Tech Times, Snoke is vulnerable because he suffered a lot of damage. The character might have died once already, only to return to life.
But here's the thing, okay? And this is why I always wonder about this. This theory, first of all, if it's from the novels, not a lot of people read those. Even the novelization of the films themselves, I don't know how many people actually do that. Second of all, it makes me wonder how much these people are actually paying attention to, because Pablo Hidalgo himself already came out and said many times Snoke is a new character.
Don't you love that photograph of him holding that decal? It just says, "Your Snoke theory sucks."
Yeah. Right? But I mean, it's like everyone's trying to figure this out, and Pablo Hidalgo already said we haven't met Snoke yet. He's new. So there are no Snoke theories. He's a new guy. Like, but everyone's trying to figure it out. Like, oh, well, no, he's this guy. He's this person. No, he's not. He's just Snoke.
Well, okay. I will say this. I don't think it's quite that simple. When Pablo says Snoke is a new character, I don't think he means he has never been introduced before in Star Wars canon. But he is saying he has never been in one of the movies before. It seems like, and again, I haven't got to the end of the book yet, but it seems like with all the groundwork being laid at the end of this Aftermath book, that one of the characters that manages to get out of all the crap going on in this book probably goes on to be Snoke. But it's not a character that existed before these books, or at least the books in the new canon were written.
Is it some race of like alien type of thing from the beyond or something like that? I read a theory about some race of people that's like force sensitive, but they're from like way beyond the outer rim or some crap like that. And they're saying that maybe Snoke's one of the...
What you talking about, Willis? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, well, I was wondering if that was in the book, because you sound like you're trying not to give a spoiler, which
Well, okay, I am trying to give no spoilers because I'm not even done reading the book yet, so I don't want to say anything that's wrong just because I haven't gotten to that part. But yeah, there's a bunch of characters introduced in the books that are officers in the Empire that didn't exist in the movies. You know, they're the ones that survived after Episode 6. I'm sorry. After Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Let's be canon friendly here.
We can still use the episode numbers. We like those.
And yeah, I mean, obviously not everybody who was on the side of the Empire after Return of the Jedi died in the Battle of Jakku. Some people make it out. They go on to, you know, form the foundations of the First Order.
I don't know, man. He said it's a new character we haven't seen before.
Haven't seen. You see what I mean?
I mean, I guess that's plausible. I guess we'll find that out down the road.
I mean, it's just too weird the way they're writing in the, you know, the getaway exit of so many of the top villains from this series, and they all have connections to people that are at the top of the First Order. Like, if you ever want to know like how Hux got to be a general so young, it's because his dad was one of the top people in the remnants of the Empire, and then he was basically told, "You're going to be in charge of the new generation of stormtroopers that we're raising from children." Good. So Hux is already put in place, and the people that found the core of the First Order rise from the ashes of the Empire, and it's because they escaped the Battle of Jakku. The whole plan was that the Battle of Jakku was just a diversion.
Really?
Basically, the people that were smart enough to look at things realized that there was no way they were going, even if they won the Battle of Jakku, there was not enough left of the Empire to defeat the New Republic. So they threw them into a battle to distract the New Republic so they could escape to unknown reaches of space to go form something else.
Wow. All right. Interesting.
So any of those people that managed to escape could very well be Snoke.
I don't know. I think I'll side with Pablo Hidalgo. Because if it comes to find out that, or if we come to find out, that this is somebody that we have seen before and it's like in the books or something, that's going to be like, oh, come on.
I actually like that idea. And here's why. Because there's a mention of U-Wings in Aftermath. And the book came out after Rogue One. It would be actually kind of nice to have, because they invent a whole bunch of new characters and things for the books that never show up in the movies, right?
Yeah.
If they really want to give weight to both things, it would be cool to have like a throwaway reference of something you've never seen or heard of before in the book, and then it pops up later in a movie. So far, the only stuff that's like popped up out of nowhere in a live action movie like Rogue One, for example, has been like a TV project or something. It's been, you know, Saw Gerrera from the Clone Wars or something from Rebels. You know, there's been nothing that's been written of in a book first that then appeared in a film. That I know of.
I wouldn't like that. I prefer it to be in a film first, and then you use the books to explain the backstory.
Well, even if it's something as simple as a U-Wing, for example, like a ship. Like when the first book that comes out after a movie is released, and it mentions the thing that just debuted in the movie, it's like too coincidental of a name drop. Like it could have been any ship they wanted, but they put in the U-Wing because it was just seen in Rogue One for the first time. Maybe they mentioned the U-Wing first because it doesn't matter, and then it shows up in the movie. You're like, oh, that's cool.
I get your point, and it's valid. I just think that the average fan is not going to go read the book to figure something out and then go see the movie. The average fan is just going to watch the movies. So you have to have the stuff in the movies, and then the books are the detailed stuff for the fans who want all the backstory and actually would do that kind of thing. That you know, you can't direct somebody to the books first.
Okay, actually, I had to correct myself right away. Gar Saxon in Rebels, he was a character in the Darth Maul comic book series that was based off the unproduced Clone Wars episodes. He was written in as a character for the Darth Maul episodes that didn't get produced since the show got canceled.
Was Gar Saxon in any of the other episodes that were actually produced?
Yeah.
Which one? Who was he? I can't remember it.
Oh wait, produced for Rebels or produced for Clone Wars?
Clone Wars.
No, he didn't exist in Clone Wars. He was invented for scripts that never got made into shows, but they did get made into comic books.
Isn't he like the brown-haired dude in Rebels?
No, he's blonde.
Was it? Did he die? I'm trying to. The name sounds familiar. I can't remember.
Yes. Well, he died in a recent episode of Rebels.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
But yeah, he was the guy. He was basically the Imperial contact on Mandalore.
Oh, that's right. And it was in the Mandalorian episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was a nobody. He was kind of like a cast-off character in the comic book series based on unproduced Clone Wars episodes. So he appeared in a comic book first, and then they dragged him up and put him in Rebels.
That just goes to show how memorable Rebels is, because I've seen every single episode and I don't remember any of it. I have an equal recollection of that as I do to the Clone Wars, and I haven't even seen all the Clone Wars. But
well, you can't watch it on Netflix anymore. That just ended this week.
It was on there yesterday.
That was the last day.
Was it really?
Yep.
Yep, they pulled it all yesterday.
Oh man, I didn't finish it.
Which is dumb because even the Netflix exclusive series, the season 6, the Lost Missions, those are gone too, I think.
I think they are, yeah. I think they pulled the whole thing.
I thought season 6 was in the Blu-ray release.
Nope. Netflix only. I mean, they released it on Blu-ray later, but it debuted on Netflix.
So the box set that you have only has 5 seasons?
Yeah, and they never put out a completed one with all 6. I have to buy a separate disc now, and now my shelf is going to look all weird. Especially because they labeled the first one the complete series.
Well, maybe they hadn't had that 6th season. They didn't know what they were going to do. Who knows?
Given that they were writing episodes all the way into season 7 and beyond, what the hell, man?
Well, the Star Wars Blu-ray kit actually says the complete series on it too. So,
hey, what are they going to do?
Complete saga. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what are they going to do? Like just put Star Wars?
The story so far
might be all of them. Like they don't have to put that on there. I mean, first of all, they know everyone's going to buy a new one anyway.
You know what it's like? Do you remember that VHS box set that we had of the Star Trek films as kids?
Oh yeah.
And like, when you stacked them up side by side, it was a 5 slatted picture of the Enterprise coming at you. And then they put out Star Trek 6. Yep. So they had to like extend the picture by like one extra slat, so and it was totally off center.
There was just stars or something on it.
Right. Yeah.
It's like space, totally blank. Oh, all right. So I do have something that that I would like to bring up that we talked about previously, and this is an article that we discussed for our episode about Attack of the Clones. And it's one that you brought up that we never really got into like we wanted to. But it technically qualifies as a fan theory because it's this person's ranking of the Star Wars movies. And at the time that we discussed it, it was 11 movies. But now with Rogue One, they've updated it to be 12 movies. And this person ranks all 12 Star Wars movies. So if you want to hear what we thought about this, just go back to our episode in defense of Attack of the Clones or something like that. And we reference this article and discuss why we disagree that Attack of the Clones sucks. So
has there been a major reshuffling, or is it just they put Rogue One somewhere in the list now?
They put Rogue One somewhere in there. And it's hard to I don't know how to feel about where they put it. Because Rogue One is such an outlier for me. It's so weird because it fits in perfectly with the other movies, the other 7.
Yeah.
But it's totally different. So I have such a hard time going, okay, well, I like episode 4, then I like episode 6, then I like 3, then I like Rogue One, then it's almost like outside of that.
Yeah, like I know it's one of my favorites of Star Wars movies, but I don't know which one I want to bump down the list to make room for it.
Yeah.
in my personal ranking.
Well, so here I'll go from 12 to 1. Okay. Number 12, the worst, is the holiday special. Go figure. Number 11 is Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure, the first Ewok movie. Number 10 is Attack of the Clones, just total bullshit. Number 9 is Episode 1, Phantom Menace, which is also bullshit. Number 8 is the Clone Wars movie. Ooh, that was so bad. Rescuing a Baby Hutt. Ugh. Number 7, Ewoks, The Battle for Endor.
Yeah, let's call timeout right here for a second. as bad as the Clone Wars movie was, saying it's worse than the second Ewok movie? Come on.
I don't know.
You've seen the Clone Wars movie, yes?
Yeah, it's terrible.
It is terrible, but is it as bad as Caravan of Courage or Battle for Endor?
I wouldn't even watch the Ewok movies. Even as a kid, when I was super into these, I mean, they came out in 84 and 85, so I would have been 8 and 9 years old. I watched a few minutes of them and was like, this is terrible. And I've never seen them all the way through. Even as a kid, it was geared towards me, and I went, this is crap.
I think there's our commentary tracks.
Yeah. Well, no, because then nobody will listen. Not that anybody listens to the show right now, but
you really want to drive them off?
Yeah. Number 6, episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Okay. Number 5, Rogue One. So they only have 4 movies that are, number 4.
I mean, yeah, I'm not putting Rogue One as the very top of my list, but that seems little low there, doesn't it?
which of course leaves the original trilogy in episode 7. So
that begs the question, like I was saying, which one would you bump to put it higher up in the list?
That's why I think you almost can't do that. It has to exist outside of a ranking to me.
It really does. It really does, because it's not part of this ever-evolving continuous saga.
Yeah. So number 4 is Return of the Jedi. The third best Star Wars movie ever, Episode 7, The Force Awakens. No.
Oh, I see. And I just stepped away to blow my nose. I should have done it now, because now we've got 20 minutes of you going off again, right?
No. But that's the third best. The third best Star Wars movie ever. Not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell. You want to know where I would rank it? Of the 8 actual like saga films. Well, there's 7 saga films and then Rogue One. Last.
Yeah, you'd put it. See, okay. I think that you're doing the same thing our cousin did with Rogue One, though, where you got on this like track of reasons you don't like it and just ran with it until now. All you know is what's bad about it.
No, I like the movie. I love the movie.
Yeah, you were reasonably pleased with it walking out of the theater, and now you're like, it's the worst of them all.
It is. It's the worst movie, but I still love it. I mean, seriously.
I don't know, man. As much as we try to find the good in everything and have romanticized Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones as a result, can you really say Force Awakens is worse than those 2 movies?
Yeah, I can. In my mind, yes. There's just something about Episode 7 that just does not resonate with me. And I've rewatched it a ton of times and I love it. But there's something that just doesn't resonate with me. It does not feel like it fits with the other movies. It just doesn't. As I said,
yeah.
The best way I can describe it is that when I left the theater after Rogue One, that's the feeling I wanted to leave the theater with after seeing Episode 7. And I just didn't. And I still don't. And I've tried to rewatch it a million times to see if I could quantify it, and I just can't. It just doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie like the other 7 movies do. There's something about it. And maybe it is the fact that after a while it just starts aping Episode 4 so much. But I mean, I don't know.
It could be. I mean, we're seeing different directors taking on these movies now, so everyone's going to have its own unique flavor, and they're all still trying to tie into the George Lucas style in some way or another, because it is a continuing story.
Yeah.
So they kind of have to. We might come to find out that JJ did the worst job.
Could be. And you know what, though? I mean, in his defense, Episode 7 could also be very, very similar to Episode 1 in that Episode 1 had to come after the original trilogy, and it was a completely new entry in the Star Wars canon, and it was behind the 8 ball from the get-go because of that. It wasn't going to live up to all that. And Episode 7 is the first non-George Lucas Star Wars movie, so it had a ton to live up to.
Yeah, you're seeing the difference in approach where people crap on Episode 1 because it wasn't more of the same, and you're crapping on Episode 7 because it was more of the same.
Yeah.
Box office bears out that apparently people like more of the same.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I get that, but I mean, you could say that, but I mean, don't forget, like, Episode 1 had an enormous box office too. It's like the second highest grossing Star Wars movie, I think. And because a lot of people saw Star Wars and they're like, oh, I'm going to go see this. It's a new Star Wars movie.
I'm pretty sure Force Awakens did better than it.
Yeah, that's why I said second. Second usually comes after first.
Oh,
And
then it's third.
What's second?
Rogue One.
No, it is not. I'll bet you with inflation, I would bet anything.
Well, I could look that up.
I'm almost positive because we looked this up before. That with inflation, episode 1 was huge.
Let's see. Star Wars box office totals. Star Wars movies at the box office. Box office mojo. No, you would be wrong, sir.
Okay.
Force Awakens. Domestic gross. 936,662,000 and change. Rogue One is number 2 at 529,873,000. Episode 1, 431,088,000.
Did I or did I not say with inflation?
Well, I don't know if it even has adjustment for that or not.
It doesn't.
Because if you
we-
go on inflation, friggin', episode 4 could end up being the biggest damn one, can't it?
I think we found a site with inflation that said it actually wasn't.
Really?
Which is kind of weird, but
well, probably not episode 4 because it probably did pretty crap in the theaters because it was the original, but probably episode.
Well, it broke
5-ish
all those.
or
It broke all those records and everything. It was up.
Okay, adjusted for ticket price inflation. Here we go. All right.
Yeah, I would assume like episode 5 or something or 6 would have been the biggest one then.
Okay, then you're right. Here's the rankings. Here's the ranking. Star Wars, the original.
Okay.
1.234 billion in domestic gross.
Makes sense.
Force Awakens, 935 million.
Okay.
Episode 1, 733 million.
Okay, so I was right.
Return of the Jedi, 700 and a half. Empire Strikes Back, 682. Rogue One is all the way down at 523.
Wow. So the prequels are still the episode 2 and 3. Wow. See, well, okay. Well, I mean, I didn't include the first one, episode 4, because I think that was probably pretty obvious, like Steve, like you said. But yeah, I mean, people, if actually, no, it bears out my point. The very first one, A New Hope, is in the top 3. When Star Wars came back into theaters with the prequels, episode 1 is in the top 3. And then when Star Wars came back in theaters again with episode 7, that's in the top 3. So the whole
pent up demand. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so there's that. I'll be interested to see what happens with episode 8, because I'd like to see if there's a drop off or if it actually does better. I mean, I think it'll bear out what people actually think of episode 7 by the numbers that episode 8 does.
Plus, it'll be interesting to see, now that we're in the third of the annual Star Wars releases, if the previous projects have increased demand or kind of dulled the excitement.
I don't think that it's dulled it, because the standalone films, again, they're standalone. And I think there's people that, think about it. How do we look at The Last Jedi? We're going, oh, it's been 2 years since, the last Star Wars movie. So we're not looking at it as, the
fair weather fan is going, another Star Wars movie.
Exactly. The people don't really give a
damn. Star Wars never goes away because you're always in some sort of release cycle.
Yeah.
But the common fan just looks at the 8 letters. They don't really look at, that it's a standalone film and then back to the episodes. And so, I'm kind of thinking you're right. I'm sure there's going to be a drop off on this one. I guess we'll find out in a month. When you get that first teaser trailer from Celebration's really going to start to put a gauge on where everybody's at with this thing.
Yeah. By the way, the last 2 on the list, the second best Star Wars movie he said is episode 4 and the best is episode 5. That's obvious. I think
we debated that one before.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. But I mean, episode 7 as the third best Star Wars movie ever.
If you
gotta be kidding me.
I love episode 7 mostly because I love the new characters and everything, but I could see how you would rate that high if you just started watching Star Wars movies like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. Like if you've been on it your whole life, it's obviously not going to be that high up. But if you kind of just shoehorn this stuff into your life in the past couple of years and just binge watched, 8 movies, I could see how you could put it up there.
Even if you're a prequel hater, how can you put episode 7 above Return of the Jedi?
Well, if you did just start watching the movies, 5 years ago ish, you're automatically going to hate the prequels because the internet tells you to.
Right.
So they're always going to be on the bottom. And then the only movies you can really form your own opinion about would be Rogue One and Episode 7, because the internet tells you that Return and Empire are the best ones ever made. So.
Yeah. I mean, the best looking one is obviously Episode 7. I mean, the effects in that are just,
oh yeah,
not to be believed. Which is, you would expect that, but even still, it's just a phenomenal looking movie. That, again, that scene with the Millennium Falcon in the Graveyard of Giants is like one of my top 2 favorite parts in all of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's hard to compare because, especially on your 3D TV, that is so amazing to see, and the other movies don't have the benefit of that.
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping they put out the prequels in 3D, because I mean, Steve, you haven't seen it, but the 3D, the home 3D just pops.
Right.
It is like,
it works way better than movie theater 3D.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
I did get to see Episode 1 in 3D before they scrapped the project and everything. So
yeah, it's eventually they're going to have to do that. It's just money out there for the taking. They already finished the conversion on all 3 of the prequels, but
talk about abysmal on box office. By the way, the 3D release of Episode 1 was actually listed here, adjusted for inflation. So adjusted for inflation, we're talking about it only made $47 million.
Well, they got 4 screenings from me.
I've said it before. I hold a very special place in my heart for that, because it's the first Star Wars movie I ever got to take my daughter to in a theater.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's.
Well, I think
it's one of those ones that, I'm not going to admit out in public that I really did care for it because of that.
I actually just watched it again the other day, and when I rewatch that one, I enjoy it more than when I rewatch Episode 7. I wish I could quantify it, because I'm like in an ungodly, monstrous minority.
There's something
like saying that.
There's something about the way George Lucas put those movies together that, because it is a fantasy, and there's something like dreamlike or a little like unreal about those movies. And 7 and Rogue One have more of like especially
real
Rogue One.
feel.
Yeah, they're more grounded, so they become almost more ordinary. Like
that's a really good way to put it. That's very
1 through
true.
6 are like a mythology, and they feel like a mythology.
Yeah.
Something that's not quite based in reality. So the more they improve the effects and make everything more plausible, they actually remove some of the magic, I think.
Yeah, like when it says like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, the galaxy feels closer in Episode 7 than it does in the other ones, because it is, like you said, it's a little more unreal. And I think with the box office, going back to the 3D thing, I think it was hampered by the fact that, first of all, it's Episode 1, and people are like, well, why am I going to go see that in the theaters again, because they didn't like it. But the 3D in the theater was not great. I remember the first thing I thought leaving the movie was the scroll was amazing. Yep.
Rest of the movie,
they went for like a real feel to it, and it was like it just didn't work. Nothing really popped, and you could tell that they heard that complaint, because when AJ and I saw the 3D stuff for Episode 2 at Celebration 6, I think it was.
Yeah.
Celebration 6, it was flying off the screen at you. Like, you could tell they went, oh, not enough 3D? Well, here you go. Here's a crap load of 3D.
Yeah, because it
looked awesome.
Because, Episode 1 came out when 3D in theaters was just turning into a thing, and there was nothing 3D towards you about it. All they were doing was giving you depth into the screen, and nobody really got that. You know, and now you're starting to get the depth, but you're getting more of it popping towards you too. So
yeah, and maybe I'm alone in this, but if I'm going to go see something in 3D, I kind of like it if it's a little bit extreme. I really like it to be like right in my face, because it's an interesting effect. There's the one part in Episode 7, and it's just a cutscene, but where it's like basically the camera's right at the nose of the Star Destroyer. And even in the theater, you go back, you're like, whoa, because I mean, it's like all of a sudden it's like pointed right at you. You're like, holy crap. And on my home system, I really feel like I could just reach up 3 inches from my face and just poke the thing. Like it's right there.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I mean,
So-
it pops so hard.
Totally different thing, but when you're riding the Star Tours attraction at Disney, one of the end scenes of it is your whatever the speeder they use for Star Tours is skipping on the water, and it crashes into one of the Naboo starfighters,
Right.
and the nose comes through the glass of the speeder that you're in, and it literally, like, the 3D on that is so good that it literally makes you jump in your seat when that thing
Right.
comes through it. It's crazy. And no matter how many times you see it, you still get that little jolt, you know, that little like, oh, hey, nobody saw me move.
It's like when the first time I saw Avatar in 3D that's still, I think, in the theater, the best 3D movie I've seen in a theater. Like when I went to see it with our older brother, Derek, I hadn't seen that many 3D movies at that time. And when they were walking the what's the main tree? The
forest tree.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, the forest tree, exactly. But it has like those wispy kind of, like, and when they were walking through it real slow, and it's like, I actually did this. Like I brushed it away. Like I was
you want
so
to start
immersed
to
in the
like
effect.
look around.
Yeah, I was like, exactly. I was like so immersed in the effect. I tried to brush the branches. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like, but it looked that good. And the episode 1 in the theater didn't. And well,
that thing had two things going against it. Okay, first off, it was made on film. So 2 and 3 being filmed on digital and having a lot more digital effects as a result.
I never thought about that. Good,
much
good
easier,
point.
much easier to convert. And 2, it's episode 1.
Yeah,
You're reselling people on what at the time was the least popular Star Wars movie.
yeah.
So you give it underwhelming 3D and you give them the same movie that they already didn't like. Gee, I wonder why that thing flopped.
Yeah, right. That poor movie, I swear. It's although, like we said, nowadays Attack of the Clones gets crapped on more than that one does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Again, with this guy's rankings, I mean, to put Force Awakens as third best, no way. I mean, again, I would put. I mean, if we're talking just about the two that have been released since George sold, Rogue One's better than Force Awakens.
Yeah, very much so. But I think it's just a matter of public opinion. People, whatever Force Awakens did, it was very successful in hitting what people wanted to see.
I wonder what the numbers would have been if you reverse the movies in terms of critical reception, because Rogue One was pretty much universally accepted as like, holy crap, this is good. Whereas The Force Awakens, people really liked it, but there were a lot of reviews that went, this is pretty much a ripoff of Episode 7. I mean, that's the main, really, I mean, let's be fair. I mean,
we caught that right away.
Yeah, the only big complaint about it is that it's an Episode 7 ripoff. That's really the only
ripoff.
Sorry, Episode 4 ripoff. Thank you. That's really the only major complaint about it. But I mean, it's a pretty big one. And again, you used, like you just said, we noticed it right away. I mean, I got up after seeing that movie and I was bummed out. I was like, man, I was ready to get smashed back in my chair like I did with all the other ones. And I got up and I was like, ugh. It's the only Star Wars movie that I've had that reaction to. And I was like, oh, man.
It was just very overt. Like, I mean, all the references and callbacks were like, they might as well have literally turned and winked at the camera.
Yeah. And I might have gone into it with a little bit of, oh, they better not be doing what I think they're doing. Because when it was revealed like a couple weeks before the movie came out, Starkiller Base, when they did the poster and everyone broke it down, like, well, there's the new weapon. You can see it right there on the poster, Starkiller Base. I went, it's a giant round thing that shoots a laser. We already had that. Oh, come on. So I was already pissed.
I think that was everybody's reaction, by the way. Once the movie poster came out, everyone was hating all over that thing.
Yeah, and you always make the best point that they in the movie, they're like, it's like the Death Star. No, it's bigger. Even in the movie, they said it. And I don't think they even meant to say it. Without even realizing it, they ripped on their own idea.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I wonder how I would rank the movies. Because I mean, this guy obviously having, you know, an Ewok movie and the Clone Wars animated film being better than Attack of the Clones. And
I wish we didn't agree so often, because there's no way I can dupe you into a bet where the stakes are having to watch that movie.
no, I can't. I can't accept that it was allowed to be made. That just upsets me. That just really upsets me.
We'll just wait till the end of the year and we'll take bets on opening weekend numbers for episode 8. If we lose, we have to do a commentary on that.
Hey, I've actually got a legitimate one. I've got a legitimate wager we can make. Okay, so you say that well,
let's do it.
Darth Maul
Let's do it earlier than later. So we'll do it on day one views of the new trailer when it drops at Celebration.
Well, we're talking about
Jeez, yeah.
we were talking about the fate of Darth Maul in Rebels, right?
Right.
Would you stake a viewing of the Ewok movie? You could take your pick. I guess you should start with the first one.
No.
But it really doesn't matter.
No, because the Maul thing is, it's 50-50. He either lives or dies. I'm not staking it on 50-50.
Yeah, exactly.
No way.
How confident are you?
Because that's a 50% chance I have to watch that piece of
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, at least we got a better shot at
Dude.
trying to pull numbers for the
I can tell
trailer
you-
views.
If I was a little kid who loved Ewoks and still wouldn't watch it, there's no damn way I'm going to watch it now. And even back then, I look at the little girl and I have the same thought as I do now. It looks like like the kid version of the Greatest American Hero. Like,
Oh yeah, she looks ridiculous.
like the curly blonde hair. I'm like, that's like the little kid version of that Greatest American Hero show. Like
Blonde Annie. That's what it is.
Like, what the heck?
Literally, in
man?
the second one, her whole family gets killed. She is an orphan.
Oh, I can't. I have to avoid it because I'm just going to get angry. It's going to be one giant. Oh, come on! Like,
Can't you even look back on it now with just realizing how ridiculous it was and how Star Wars like really hadn't found its footing? Even after 3 feature films, it was still goofy enough.
well, George Lucas didn't make those, did he?
No, but he sure as hell authorized them.
Well, yeah, because he's like, yeah, go for it. I'll make money off it somehow. Whatever. Kids dig Ewoks. Do whatever the hell you want.
It cost us $52 to shoot the movie.
Well, yeah, but
Right.
do you think like Disney would greenlight a project like that now?
Hell no.
No,
Well,
they take Star Wars far too seriously.
Well,
to
yeah,
take a
but
risk like
they
that.
also have this history behind it with the holiday special and, you know, the Ewok movies and everything on the internet with everyone crapping all over it, to know that if they put that out, something like that, they're just going to get crucified.
Yeah, we gotta spin this thing. We gotta do this where if we lose some type of bet, we got to do a commentary on that thing.
Yeah, I'm going to get you into this somehow. I'm going to rope you in.
Yeah, we got to
But
figure it out.
There's no point in doing a commentary because, first of all, no one has the movie out there that would listen to it. And second of all,
Somebody does.
even if they did, they wouldn't want to listen to that garbage.
Well,
What? Here's the commentary.
how's that
This
for a
sucks.
bet? We'll get more listens on that than any of our episode 1.
Oh,
So it's-
There's the bet. There's the freaking bet. Seriously, the whole commentary would be like, this sucks. What the hell is this? This sucks. This is crap. What the hell? This sucks.
exactly.
This is garbage.
Exactly.
so you could either guess if that's us commentating on the Ewok movie or episode 7 for you.
Yeah. But that's what we'll do. We'll each write down quotes about each of the movies, and then we'll read them on air and have people have to guess who said it. So,
Well, I think we're about wrapping this one up here, but
hey, you don't do that.
well, we do when I got things I want to say, because usually you steamroll right through the closing and I don't get to say anything. So let me just get my points in here, and you can bring it on home. All right?
Meeting is adjourned.
No, you say that.
What?
Meeting is adjourned.
It is?
No, you say that.
What?
Meeting is adjourned.
It is?
Here, play with this. No, a couple things. This is coming out this weekend on the 12th. Yes, March 12th.
Yes.
So this is our last episode before we find out who makes it onto the podcast stage at Celebration. By the
Yeah.
time we record our
Next
next
Wednesday.
episode, yes, by the time we record our next episode, we will know if we did it or not.
You would
So
know.
our next recording, we'll be talking to you about
Our
how
rejection
we
letter.
got our rejection email.
We're just going to get one back from Celebration says, are you kidding me?
No, we're going to get a rejection email that says, "Oh, come on!"
And that if we did get one that says that, I'll be like, yes, they listen to the show.
That's the reply back.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thing. You realize that even if we get rejected, someone had to at least listen to an episode before they said no. So someone at Lucasfilm has heard our show.
So somebody has acknowledged us at some point.
Well, it might not be Lucasfilm, it might be Reed Pop.
Close enough.
It works for me.
Close enough. So so we got that coming up. And that also means that we are also at that point less than a month away from Star Wars Celebration.
Not true.
Totally true.
No, it's not.
When does Star Wars Celebration begin?
April 14th.
Okay. And if this
13th.
episode's coming out on the 12th, then the next time we record, it will be less than a month until Celebration.
Oh, okay. As of the next episode.
Yeah,
I thought you meant right now.
By the time we come back on the air after this episode, we are going to be less than a month. That is so cool.
By the way, the latest update to the latest Star Wars Celebration update was today. Dave Filoni will be appearing. I don't know why they even have to put that. That's
right.
I think Filoni's going to be there.
There's another update about Celebration. Do you want some baddish news?
Hold on. The countdown: 35 days, 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 15 seconds. So what's the baddish news?
Star Wars Celebration will skip 2018 and return in 2019.
So no overseas.
That's what I'm wondering.
Next year?
Because they use these as a platform for hyping up the new movie. So, wait a minute. That means they're going to skip a year when they're doing the Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
Because they're definitely, like you said, it's coming back in 19 because I got to hype up episode 9.
I got to say that doesn't really surprise me, though. If they, let's say, like 2019 in Anaheim, and then they skip a European one.
Yeah.
Because the last one was not.
Let's say maybe last year
really
wasn't.
Happened.
Yeah, maybe last year just wasn't all that.
Yeah, nothing happened. Like we got no big news, like no footage. Like it was just okay.
What if the next Celebration is not in the U.S.? What if the one in 2019 is the overseas one?
Oh, and they're gonna do the overseas one to hype episode 9.
Could be. I mean, there is a whole.
It's always a possibility.
We are only one country on the planet.
That only becomes a problem if it's in Italy, because Italy is the only country that I actually give a damn about visiting. And if they put Celebration in Italy, I'd be like, oh, I might have to do that. But if it's like anywhere else, I'm like, oh, you know what?
Star Wars Celebration, North Korea.
Yeah, right. So
tickets are still available, guys.
When does Disney Shanghai open? Is that 2019? Because what if that's what they're doing?
No, they opened last summer.
Oh, they already opened?
Yeah.
Shows what I know. See, I don't pay attention to this crap. Might as well be politics where I'm concerned. All right, so with that, now we will officially close up shop. I'll do my job here. But thanks for tuning in to another episode. Please don't forget that we have our official Nerf Herder Council Raglans on sale for $20. You can hit us up to get one of those. It's very cool. I actually have to get one before I leave here for my wife because she's been waiting forever since we paid $20 into the fund. Why are you giving me that look? Do we not have them here?
No, I'm just laughing that she hasn't gotten it yet.
June 16th last year it opened.
Okay. Well, I was wrong. But yeah, don't forget we have our t-shirts. If you like what you hear, don't like what you hear, want to yell at us, any kind of feedback, give us a call on our voicemail, which is 440-987-WARS, which is 9277. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Spreaker, which is our main platform. Ear Peeler. We'd like to thank our friend Victor again for doing that for us. We are on the Uncontrolled Noise Network. You can find us on Google Play. Don't forget, we also have our YouTube channel, which is pretty interesting because I was looking at that the other day, and I don't know how those numbers work, but the views are all over the map. Like, you'll get one with 2 views, and one's got 100, and one's got 4, and then the next one's got like 500. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, clearly we haven't figured out that platform yet.
Yeah, and that's my fault. So, but yeah, you can find us at all those places. We are at nerfherdercouncil.com. Again, we are an official supporter of Star Wars Celebration Orlando, happening in 35 days at the Orange County Convention Center, April 13th through the 16th. So if you are going, you can hit us up there. I'm sure it will be easy to find. I'm a fat guy and I'm very loud, so
there's a lot of those there.
Yeah,
I'm louder.
Well,
I think we all know that. Okay, look,
he'll be the fat, loud guy in a Nerf Herder Council t-shirt.
But
exactly.
But in all seriousness, if you're going to Celebration, hit us up. We'd love to do a meetup with any of our listeners.
Yeah, that'd be. I'm buying the beer. I'm saving up enough money to spend. I'll buy beer. What the hell?
Nice.
Check us out on Facebook. You can hit us up there. And on Twitter, we are at NHC Podcast. So give us a follow, tweet at us, all that happy good stuff. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate you guys listening to the show. Hopefully you're having a good time with it. And till next time, I'm your host, JT, at Dog Pound Jedi. He's AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
He's Steve.
At JSteve1005.
And we'll catch you next time.
This bucket of bolts is never gonna get us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus, me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie?
Hell yeah, you my Nerf herder.
You my Nerf herder.